Hello again everybody, James here from ItsMuchMore along with Jack, and this is a special tag team pack episode of the WWF Hasbro figures, part of our series. So what have we got in store for this episode?
So this is a bit of a hybrid really. There was two sets of tag team packs that were released.
Okay.
So one was attached to Series 2,
Yep.
And then one set was attached to Series 4.
Right.
So if you look back at some of the previous episodes, we've just got to Series 4.
Okay.
So we finished that one and we've now moved into the tag packs. So the ones that were attached to Series 2 were Bushwhackers,
Right.
Rockers,
Okay.
Nasty Boys.
Okay.
Series 4 had Legion of Doom,
Yes.
Demolition.
Two good tag teams there.
Yeah. So, and these were the only figures really to be put into these double packs.
Okay.
They didn't appear, they didn't do any further tag team packs. There were plenty of tag teams, but in individual packs.
Okay.
So again, we'll cover those later, but we've already mentioned natural disasters. They weren't put into a tag pack.
Nope.
But that could have been down to some differences with the Typhoon's design, pre-tugboat, things like that.
Yep.
So with these, there's not really any secrets with them. There's not really much going on with regards to early prototypes, early changes. They didn't really have much of that. These all seem to be pretty solid.
Good.
I say the first ones, I don't think they were released in any particular order, but we'll start with Series 2 release.
Okay.
So, Rockers.
Yeah. Mike Janetti and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Part of the famous kick that was heard around the world, but this was obviously before that. Their attire, I think they missed something out with the attire for because the Rockers used to wear all kinds of crazy stuff.
They did, yeah.
Tassels going everywhere, ribbons flowing, crazy designs, sequins all over the place.
Yeah, like Warrior Macho the early days gone by. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very much so. And then the design they've given them for these figures was just green trousers and some white.
Very bland.
Yeah, it's pretty boring.
Okay.
Pretty boring. You can see from the figures on the screen they're not as extravagant as they could have been.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Rockers, pretty basic, but they were fan favourites and people did buy them. And again, people would buy them because it was 2 for 1. Really, you were buying two wrestlers. They were priced probably only a few pound or a few dollars more than what the individuals were. So you kind of picked them up a lot. The same can be said with the Bushwhackers.
Okay, fan favourites again.
Yeah, Luke and Butch. So their attire never changed, so the design phase was going to be pretty simple for them.
Yep.
Camo shorts and then the black sort of leotard almost, the black vest. Pretty simple stuff.
Okay.
Their figures were kind of original. Well, Luke's was original at that point to do the walk to the ring. Butch's was already a design that was used before. $1 Million Man had the same design.
Okay. Yeah.
Pull the arm up and the leg goes up. The stomp thing, yeah. So, pretty simple again. They were fun to play with, kind of.
I mean, the Bushwhackers kind of were a bit fun, having that new addition move that we're not seeing in anyone yet. As you can, if you've made yourself a ring entrance, you could walk down slightly with them, and then just have fun as a tag team, I guess.
Yeah. I think I don't know anybody who I went to go and play with their wrestlers who didn't have either the Rockers or the Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
You saw them all over the place.
Yep.
Then you got to the Nasty Boys. Now for me, I think they were the best one out of that 3 that were released in Series 2. Nasty Boys, great figures,
Yep.
Great characters, great heels. Everyone loved to hate them.
Yep.
I think that you always knew whenever you see someone come down the ring with Jimmy Hart that they were going to be the heel.
Oh yeah.
You knew that for a fact.
Yep.
And I used to love just the pure drama that they would create. They'd always, they're called Nasty Boys for a reason. They'd always do something to break the rules, but they were fun to watch.
Yeah.
And they were even more fun to play with the figures because the figures kind of represented how they were. I love the card for the Nasty Boys, as you can see on the screen. Again, as I mentioned before in the last video, they decided to take a posed photo, which I think works really, really well.
Purely for the card.
Purely for the card, yeah. I just really like the card. I think it's a really, really nice looking. It's a fun card to look at. It's a fun pack to look at. Bushwhackers is, I don't know, I don't particularly like it. It always looks a bit cheap, and I was never a fan of the Rockers. So, yeah.
There you go.
Wasn't really a fan. So they're the 3 tag packs that were released for Series 2.
Okay.
Yeah. No real differences there. In fact, I have seen, going on to some custom packs for a second, I have seen people actually do the custom coats that the Nasty Boys had, the big long trench coats.
Okay.
They look quite good, but I've also seen some pretty appalling ones as well. But at this stage, we hadn't really seen any clothing. There's a hint there, because some will be coming up in later episodes. We hadn't really seen any clothing, fabric, for the wrestlers.
Okay.
In these packs. But Nasty Boys, still pretty good.
Cool.
So we move on to the Series 4 tag teams.
Right.
So the 2 tag teams, we had Legion of Doom and we had Demolition.
2 good strong tag teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Demolition were, in theory, there were 3 of them. There was Axe, there was Smash, and there was Crush.
Okay.
Crush was a later addition. I don't really think the WWF knew what to do with Crush, really.
No.
Because you had, and we'll cover this later on, you had what's called Kona Crush, which was the Hawaiian Crush figure.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers like quite their babyface Crush.
Yeah.
And then you had Evil Crush, which is way later on, which we'll cover. But then you had Crush in Demolition.
I don't know what they wanted to do with Crush.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one. But they decided to put them in the tag pack. They took Axe out, so the tag pack for Demolition was just Smash and Crush.
So when you had this, say, Series 1, you're going to get the same one again?
Yeah, exactly the same. No differences at all. So if you was to own up until this point every figure that they'd released, you'd have 2 Smashes, both exactly the same. The only difference being is that on the tag pack they came with helmets. Okay. So you can see on the screen now they came with these additional helmets.
Okay.
Very difficult to find these helmets now, unless you've got the sealed pack. However, the helmets I think were quite good. They were quite good to have them on the figures, and they fit really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was their entrance, wasn't it? They had all that fanfare going off when they came into the ring. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was a good thing for them to put in there. But again, Hasbro being a little bit tight, didn't make any changes to Smash at all. Exactly the same.
Just repackaged him, put him in there.
Tag pack, we just released it. Yeah, so no real changes to that, I'm afraid. Crush is a cool figure in this. The Demolition Crush, he looks cool, the face paint's cool. Yeah, I think he does look cool. The card for Demolition, I think, is really nice as well. I think they did a good job.
Cool.
So the last one is Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors.
Yes, my favourite tag team at the time.
I think they were everyone's favourite. However, everyone has the same complaint.
Yes.
And it's the same complaint that prior to us filming this, James raised. So I'll let James explain because he explains it perfectly.
So, Legion of Doom have those spikes on there. This is, once again, they're wearing the entrance attire. And they seem to break off every time I was using them as a child in a tag team match. And so my Legion of Doom figures are broken spikes.
Yes, everyone has them. You also suffer really badly with fingers snapping off, as you can see from the figures. Animal has the Gorilla Press Slam, so his hands were open, fingers would snap off. So you'd have broken fingers, you'd have broken spikes, and all round you'd have figures that just didn't look very good after a couple of hours of playing with them.
And it seems like the paint seemed to wear off them quite quickly as well.
Yeah.
Because I just remember seeing them in, say, car booths or flea markets in a box, and there's always Legion of Doom at the bottom being bashed about a bit, and
yep.
You know, seeing them for 2 for the penny.
Absolutely, and I think it was something that they could have done better, and they have done through different manufacturers. There was Mattel and Jax have since taken over the WWF license, and they have made the Legion of Doom figures with removable pads.
Okay.
So you can take the pads off, and they will just be in their normal ring attire to wrestle with, which I think is really, really good. There is a bit of a surprise though, because when we do the customs episode, which will be right at the very end to show off some custom figures that I've had made, you'll be impressed.
Okay.
You'll be impressed with what
I look
comes
forward to that. I
Yeah.
look forward to it.
And that's really it for the tag packs. We never saw any more tag teams that were in the double packs.
Okay.
We saw tag teams released in singles because we know that Hasbro were all about the
money.
The money. So we do see some more single release tag teams, but for the tag packs, this was it. And they never planned to do any more. There was no other releases, there was no other talks, no other designs, nothing else.
But they are good tag teams. They were iconic tag teams for their time, like Legion of Doom, Nasty Boys, the Bushwhackers.
Mm-hmm.
You think of WWF tag teams at the time, those are the three that spring to mind.
Yeah, and I think they did really pin down the tag teams that they wanted the fans to play with.
Yeah.
There is one thing.
Okay.
So
What we got?
there was a design for two tag teams that never made it out.
We already spoke about that in a previous episode. Wasn't it the Greg the Hammer Valentine one?
Well, yes. Okay, 3.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking of that one, so there's 3. So
Okay.
yeah, we've discussed Rhythm and Blues. They never made it out for an official release.
Okay.
These are the 2 that I know of. Again, never made it to official release, and as far as I'm aware, never made it to any type of pre-production phase. They
So
never
no
made
cards,
nothing like that.
Okay.
They were never built. They were never manufactured. They were never tested or anything like that.
Okay.
So originally, prior to them making the series for Brett, there was going to be the Heart Foundation.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they were going to make, and there's, as you can see on the screen now, there's some drawings here for Jim the Anvil Neidhart in the Heart Foundation attire.
Right.
So there definitely was plans for them to make them a tag team, and we could have seen them in a tag pack.
Yeah. Would have been good.
Yeah, but the world of wrestling moves so fast that the Heart Foundation split up because Jim the Anvil Neidhart had some personal demons to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
He then came out of the company for a little while, so Brett was then given his singles push.
Okay.
Because Jim had left, they just stopped the design phase almost immediately, and then they just moved to putting Brett out on his own.
Okay. But didn't Anvil later on come back with, say...
He did.
Brett's brother?
Yes. So you see Anvil come back at a later series.
Okay.
In the tag team that he then joined with Owen.
Okay.
And again, that was an official tag team,
Yep.
but they released them as a single pack.
Okay.
Single packs each.
For the money again.
For the money. And they released them over 2 different series as well. So Owen was in one series and Jim the Anvil Neidhart was in another series. So it gets even more complicated. So we'll skirt past that, but the idea was that there was supposed to be a Heart Foundation tag pack, and it
Okay.
never came to fruition.
Right.
Jim left, they then designed the Brett figure, as you can see on the screen here, which we showed in Series 4 again. They then just made the Brett design for a single release and no Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Mm-hmm.
There's one more tag team that almost made it to just the design phase.
Okay.
They didn't quite get there though. I think they weren't very popular in the sense, not that they were babyface or heel, they just weren't very popular. They
Okay.
didn't really resonate with fans. That was the Beverly Brothers. These Beverly Brothers, as you can see on the screen, you'll probably recognise them now. They had their purple and their pink
Right.
stripes. They had the hair.
I remember them.
Don't get them confused with the Body Donners. That was a different tag team.
Okay.
This was the Beverly Brothers.
Right.
Right. The picture you're seeing here
Huh?
was a picture that was provided to the designers at Hasbro to basically say, make these figures.
Okay.
Draw these figures. Make them into test figures. You can see from the pictures of the Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the designers at Hasbro were literally given Polaroids of the characters and they were told, draw these figures.
Wow.
Yeah? So the Beverly Brothers were provided and they were considered to be a tag pack, but they never got anywhere.
Fans didn't like them, fans didn't resonate with them, like you say.
No, I don't think, if you was to put them against any of the other tag packs that were either considered or released, they were going to be the weakest every single time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really the full list of tag packs.
Wow.
That's it.
But there is some good ones in there, and
Yeah.
I think if they did have Beverly Brothers in there, that would, like you say, would have been the weaker one, and nobody would have bought them.
No,
So
not at all. So I think there's some really strong stuff with the tag packs. My favourite out of all of them. See, there's a difference here. There's my favourite to display, and then there's my favourite to actually play with when I was a kid. So my favourites to actually play with as a kid was the Nasty Boys.
Okay.
Yeah, they were most practical with the moves they had and how you could actually play with them alongside all the other figures. For display purposes, probably Demolition, but in the pack.
Okay.
I don't have them in the pack. They're very expensive to get in the pack. I have them loose, but I don't have them in the pack.
So my favourite to play with would have been Legion of Doom, purely because they get thrown around, and they were the thrown around ones. I'd pair them off against anybody, and knew that I could pick them up cheaper later on anyway.
Destroy them because you knew you could then buy them back again. Yeah, okay.
Exactly, and display purposes, I like the camo from the Bushwhackers.
Okay.
The attire that they had.
Yeah.
So I just remember them being an iconic part of WWF back in the day. You turn the television on, you see them entering the ring, it'll be funny, and then to actually have them as a little figure as well. I think that they were if I was to display them, it'd be those.
If you think of, I always draw a line with the tag packs between the kind of the kiddie fan favourite ones and then the serious ones, and I always draw a line between them. And you've got your rockers, your bushwhackers, the Nasty Boys. They're your kind of kiddie favourite ones.
Yep.
And then you've got Legion of Doom and your Demolition. They were quite nasty looking, serious.
Yeah.
You know, you saw Legion of Doom come into the ring with the spikes. You quite intimidated.
Yeah.
You thought, how are they going to wrestle with those? Oh no, they're actually taking them off. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's the tag packs. That's it.
Cool.
We never saw Heart Foundation and we never saw the Beverly Brothers.
Oh well, what a shame we didn't see them.
Mm.
But anyway, that's been another episode, a special one, because it contained 2 different series of tag teams and a couple of little special bits on the way. So I've been James, along with my friend Jack here. We're talking about WWF Hasbro figures. So what are we going to see in the next episode?
So we're going to go canon on the next episode, and it will be Series 5.
Okay.
We see a change to the packaging.
Whoa.
So every single packet you've seen up until this point has been a blue packet to fit with the blue ring, to fit with the blue colour scheme of the WWF entirely at that stage.
Yes.
We start seeing some changes.
Okay.
That's all I'll say at this stage.
Good. Look forward to it. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you want to click on that subscribe button, click the like button, give us some comments in the comments field below on how we're doing. Follow us on all the different social platforms as well, and be sure to check out our next video.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself. All the best. Bye bye.